few things have popped up during our weekly check-ins that I wanted to address in a video. Two things. One, first is training through our cycle, what that looks like pre, post, and during, as well as with it being that time of year, with the winter ending, spring coming, people are starting to get sicker and it's lasting a little bit longer, and maybe we're not recovering as fast during our training. So then what does that look like if we've missed sessions, and then how do we get back to the gym? Are we supposed to use the same numbers, or what do we do? So to shine some light on that information, we've put together this slide and we'll run through it now. So you can see here, the key message of this is that we match training to your current capacity, not the usual expectation. Some weeks the best coaching decision is to train hard, some weeks is to reduce the session, and some weeks the correct decision is to rest properly so that you recover faster and do not turn a short-term interruption into a long-term problem. This isn't about being soft, it's about making the right decision for the body that you have today. Okay, so then we move on to the next slide, the rule of capacity. Before we decide what we should do, we want to separate two things. First is the usual expectation, the program, the session, the weights, the routine, the plan you normally follow. The second is your current capacity, how recovered you are, whether you are sick, how your energy is, how your breathing feels, how your sleep has been, and how your body responds when you start moving. Good coaching is not just pushing the plan, no matter what. Good coaching is knowing when to apply the plan, when to modify it, and when to pull back. So if you are sick or recovering, the question is not how do I make myself do the normal session? The better question is what can I do today that supports recovery and keeps you moving in the right direction? Yeah. So you've got your usual expectation. What should I be doing? Current capacity, what can I recover from? And then the coaching decision, rest, move, reduce, or return. So sickness, poor sleep, stress, cycle symptoms. So we've got the three broad decisions that we are usually making. The first is rest. Rest is the right call when your body is clearly fighting something, or when your training is more likely to drain you more than heal you. Fever, heavy fatigue, body aches, chest symptoms, stomach issues, dizziness, and feeling really unwell are not signs to push through. The second option is gentle movement. This is for days when you're not feeling perfect, but you're not wiped out either. You might go for a walk, do some mobility, or complete a very easy version of this. The third option is reduced training. This is when you are improving, symptoms are settling, and you're ready to start rebuilding, but not ready to jump straight back to normal. The coaching decision is not about proving commitment, it is about choosing the level that matches what your body can actually handle. Okay, so just making sure we navigate that rest, gentle movement, or reduced training. Obviously, you can reach out to your coach. We can have a discussion with how you're feeling, what's going on, and the best course of action for you for that day. Next slide. Okay. So what rest is the correct coaching decision? When rest? Let's make that really clear. Rest is sometimes the correct coaching decision. If you have a fever, chills, chest symptoms, body aches with heavy fatigue, all of the stuff we listed before, that is not a push-through day. Training is a stressor. Most of the time that stressor helps you adapt, but when your body is already under significant stress from illness, pushing a normal session can give you low-quality training and a slower recovery. There is also a practical side. If you are contagious, staying away from the gym protects other people too. So the rest is not an adherence failure. It is a smart decision when training would cost more than it gives back. And I stress more about this part when it comes to the highly motivated individuals. When it's super hard to see that short-term pain, i.e. missing a session because of sickness, equates to long-term gain. The fact that we can bounce back and recover and probably push a lot better when we've come back is such a hard thing to try and talk people out of when they're in the midst of it. You are not making a bad decision by resting or relaxing. You're doing the right decision for now. Short-term pain, long-term gain. So, if you are not clearly sick enough to rest, but you are ready for normal training, gentle movement can be useful. The simplest way to judge is to start very easy and check the response. That might be a short walk, might be mobility, might be just doing the warm-up and seeing how you feel. While you're doing it, pay attention to your breathing, your energy, whether you feel lightheaded, symptoms are settling, or whether the movement makes you feel a little better or clearly worse. If you feel better, we can usually keep it gentle. If you feel worse, then some information. pull back and rest. This is why we don't want you making the decision from guilt before you start. Start low, listen to the response, and adjust. So we don't want to push through that just because I've started and say, well, I feel like I'm okay. You can obviously do a little bit more, but again, if we're feeling a shit house, pushing through, that's only going to make it worse. It's going to be compounding, yeah? This is a big one that we've had some discussions with this week too. So a missed session because you are sick is not the same as giving up on your plan. This matters because a lot of people turn one missed session into a bigger emotional story. I'm off track, I've failed, I'm consistent. But sickness is a context change. Just like work, poor sleep, and cycle symptoms can also be context changes. Your job is not to pretend that the context is not there. Your job is to respond well. Sometimes that response is rest, the gentle movement, or the reduced session. Or sometimes it's just messaging your coach and seeing what we can do to adapt the plan. It's still adherence. It becomes a bigger coaching process, not just blind adherence to one session in the calendar. Okay. So especially when I've been caught up in work, I've had the kids and that sort of stuff, I'm not making my sessions. The main thing we talk about in those sort of situations is, okay, so it's at the front of mind, which is an important step to what can we do in those sort of situations? As we say, like we always cycle for gentle movement. Take those steps when you can get those steps. And if we're not hitting those 10,000 or 5,000 or 6,000, whatever we're set for you, get those steps in, start navigating that first, and then we can talk about everything that's going on. But the biggest thing is just, if we can move, and just be a bit more kinder to yourself in those situations. So this is pretty big issue that we have with some people. One of the biggest ones is this. So if you've missed a Monday and you say, well, I'll do Monday and Tuesday together, or I've had 3 days off, I'll come back extra hard today. That usually creates the wrong problem. You're not behind because you're rested, but you can create a setback by stacking too much training onto a body that is still recovering. We do not need to punish the missed sessions. We need to re-enter the plan intelligently. So the better option is reduce the first session back, see how your body responds during and after, and then rebuild. Think about when we go back to that calibration phase. That's sort of what I want you to sort of think about. Okay, I've had a couple of days off, I've had a week off, I've had 2 weeks off due to injury, sickness, cycles, whatever. Come back, do a calibration process first, see how it feels, and then go from there. Because we're not trying to win the week when you're sick, we're trying to protect the week, okay? So let's assume you're ready to return. Think in these 3 steps: reduce, assess, rebuild. First, reduce. This means the first session back should usually be shorter, lighter, and less intense than normal. Fewer sets, less load, longer rest, and no need to chase the personal best. Second, assess. We care about how you feel during the session, but also how you respond afterwards. How do you feel later that day? How do you feel the next morning? Did symptoms flare? Did fatigue spike? Did breathing feel normal for the effort? And then third, rebuild. If the response is good, we progress. If the response is poor, we hold or step back. This is the coaching process. The first session back is not supposed to prove how tough you are. It's supposed to give us enough information to rebuild well. So when you're learning all this sort of stuff and you're trying to do that reassessment into your body and how the cues feel, always think back on a macro lens. Okay, this is one blip in the year, 1 week out of 52 weeks, 1 week out of a decade. So 1 week out of 520 weeks, it's such a small comparison compared to the rest of your life that if we can remove that urgency and emergency from that situation and realize that short-term pain is super necessary for that long-term gain, you see that, okay, cool, that anxiety, that stress should slowly dissipate. It's like, okay, that movement should be good. What does that elbow feel like when we're going for overhead pressing? What does my chest feel like when I'm doing the push-ups? Like, we want to navigate that more importantly with more purpose and more intention rather than pushing 300 kilo deadlifts or 300 kilo bench presses and that sort of stuff. So when you message your coach, you don't need to write a novel, but give us enough information to make a good decision. Tell us the symptoms. Is it a head cold, fever, chest symptoms, stomach upset, heavy fatigue, body aches, is a cycle, that sort of thing. Tell us the timeline. Did it start today? Have you been unwell for 3 days? Are you improving or getting worse? Or give us an energy score out of 10. This helps us understand capacity, not just symptoms. If you've tried gentle movement, tell us how it felt. Did walking help? Did the warm-up feel okay? Or did it make things worse? And then ask the practical question, should I rest? Do I reduce the session or follow a return plan? That is the kind of information that lets us coach properly instead of guessing. So be honest about stuff, understand where we're at, what's going on, and then give us that information so we can say, okay, cool, like I think maybe you might need to dial it back a little bit today. Do you think you have the capacity to go for a small walk? What about just doing a bit of body weight exercises? We have those structured Pilates and yoga at home exercises or calisthenics at home exercises. If we feel like we can just want to do something at home, we've got everything possible to sort of give you. Just ask those questions so we can help navigate it for you. So same principles, different contexts. This is why the same principles applies to different clients, even when the context is different. One person might be recovering from being sick, another might be dealing with a disrupted week, another might be writing down, another might be managing cycle symptoms, fatigue, appetite change, recovery changes altogether. We do not coach the calendar, we coach the person in front of us. If your capacity is lower, we adjust. If your body responds well, we rebuild. If your body tells us it's not ready, we do not force it. That is the personalized coaching, not random modifications, not all or nothing thinking, just a better decision for the context you're actually in. Okay. So one of the biggest takeaways from this are, if you are sick or recovering, rest can be the correct coaching decision. If you miss a session because your body needed to recover, that is not failure, that is context. And when the return, do not make up missed training, reduce the first session, assess your response and rebuild from there. The goal is not to force the plan at all costs. The goal is to make the right decision for the body you have today so you can keep building over the longer term. Match training to your current capacity, not your usual expectation.